Chapter 7. The Perfect Smile. It was supposed to be just another lecture. Dr. Russell Carrington Jr. had grown accustomed to standing before captivated audiences, his commanding presence and polished rhetoric leaving little room for anything less than admiration. But on that warm evening, at a small historically black college in Chester, South Carolina, called Brainerd Institute, fate had other plans. As the crowd thinned and Dr. Carrington prepared to leave, a young woman approached him. She was striking, a 5'3", caramel-complexioned woman with shoulder-length black hair. Her quiet confidence caught him off guard. "Dr. Carrington," she said, her soft, melodic Southern accent wrapping around each word, "I just had to tell you, you have the most perfect smile I've ever seen." Her name was Johnny May Warren, and though only 22, her poise and charm commanded his attention. She was single, fresh out of secretary classes, and caring for a young daughter at home. What began as a casual compliment quickly turned into a deep conversation about the migration of black families from the South to cities like Baltimore, Maryland. Johnny May shared her own story. Her sister Marjorie had already moved to Baltimore and had been encouraging her to join her. "It might be a task," she admitted with a small laugh, having a little one to think about and all. Still, her tone carried a note of curiosity, as if she were already imagining the possibilities. She added, "My sister already got a job at Garwin Medical Center as a receptionist for another doctor in your building." Dr. Carrington, ever the opportunist, saw something in Johnny May, a spark of ambition and vulnerability that intrigued him. She was different from the women in his usual social circles back home. Unpolished, yes, but refreshingly genuine. He found himself drawn to her, not just for her beauty, but for her story. Her struggles, resilience, and dreams reminded him of his own youth, before success consumed him. Before the evening ended, Dr. Carrington made sure to leave an impression. He gave her his contact information, encouraging her to reach out if she ever decided to move to Baltimore. "It's a city of opportunities," he said, flashing the smile she'd complimented earlier. "You and your daughter could do well there." As he returned to Baltimore, Dr. Carrington couldn't stop thinking about the chance meeting. It was a dangerous distraction, one he knew could complicate his already precarious personal life. But for a man who had built his life on balancing appearances and indulgences, the allure of Johnny May Warren was too tempting to ignore. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Carrington found himself replaying their conversation in his mind. Her voice, her laugh, and the way she seemed genuinely interested in him. Not as a doctor or a public figure, but as a man. She wasn't just another pretty face. There was something about her vulnerability and her hope for a better future that stirred something deep within him. Dr. Russell Carrington Jr. leaned back in the leather chair of his private dental office, a rare grin playing at his lips as he swirled a glass of brandy in his hand. Across from him, Dr. Donald Stewart sat with his feet propped up on the mahogany desk, already sensing where the conversation was headed. "I met someone," Dr. Carrington said, taking a slow sip of his drink. Dr. Stewart arched an eyebrow, amusement flickering across his face. "Oh yeah? And where exactly did you meet someone this time?" Dr. Carrington smirked. "At my lecture down in South Carolina, a medical symposium at Brainerd Institute." He paused for effect. "Her name's Johnny May. Smart, ambitious, beautiful." Dr. Stewart let out a hearty laugh, shaking his head. "Russ, come on, man. You do remember that you're still married, right?" Russell exhaled, setting his glass down. "It's not like that, Donald. She's different." We talked for hours after the lecture. "She understands me," Dr. Stewart chuckled, sitting up straight. "Understands you, huh? That's what we're calling it now?" Dr. Carrington rolled his eyes. "I'm serious. She's not just some—" He stopped himself, choosing his words carefully. "She makes me feel like I don't have to be Dr. Carrington all the time." Dr. Stewart shook his head, still smirking. "Man, you kill me. You got a whole wife, Barbara Ann, the mother of your kids, at home, and you're out here in South Carolina making connections." Dr. Carrington sighed, running a hand over his face. "You wouldn't understand." Dr. Stewart gave him a pointed look. "Oh, I understand just fine. You want to have your cake and eat it too. But let me remind you of something. Powerful men don't get the luxury of being sloppy. Your reputation is everything." Dr. Carrington leaned forward, his expression turning serious. "That's just it, Donald. I'm tired of being the man everyone expects me to be, the perfect husband, the model doctor, the legacy my father sculpted. He shook his head. Johnny May sees me beyond all that. Dr. Stewart studied his best friend for a moment before sighing. You're playing with fire, Russ. Russell leaned back, picking up his glass again. Maybe, he admitted. But for once, I don't care. Dr. Stewart shook his head, chuckling. Just don't let Jet Magazine or the Afro catch wind of this. It didn't take long for him to reach out. At first, it was under the guise of professionalism, a letter expressing his admiration for Johnny May's courage as a young mother, along with an offer to help her settle in Baltimore if she ever decided to make the move. But the tone of his letters quickly became more personal. Johnny May responded eagerly. She confessed that the idea of moving to Baltimore was becoming more appealing, especially with her sister's encouragement. Her daughter, she wrote, deserved better than what small-town South Carolina could offer. And, truthfully, she admitted that Dr. Carrington's interest in her gave her the courage to consider starting over in a new city. By the time she decided to relocate, Dr. Carrington had already begun making arrangements. He found her a modest apartment not far from where her sister lived and promised her a job as a receptionist at his office. When she arrived in Baltimore, he was there to greet her, his polished appearance and warm smile reassuring her that she'd made the right choice. For Johnny May, Dr. Carrington represented stability and a glimpse of the life she had always dreamed of, one filled with sophistication and opportunity. For Dr. Carrington, Johnny May was an escape from the pressures of his marriage to Barbara Ann and the relentless expectations of his public persona. But as their relationship deepened, it became harder to maintain the illusion of control. Dr. Carrington's colleagues began to notice his frequent absences and whispered about the mysterious young woman he seemed so enamored with. At home, Barbara Ann grew suspicious of his increasing time away, though she chose, for now, to remain silent. For a while, Dr. Carrington managed to juggle it all, his career, his marriage, and his secret life with Johnny May. Yet it didn't take long for her to sense a subtle shift whenever she accompanied him to his office or attended professional gatherings. At first, the glances from staff and colleagues seemed rooted in admiration or curiosity, but soon the whispers began. One afternoon, while she was waiting in the reception area, a nurse leaned over and lowered her voice. "You seem sweet, but you ought to know, Dr. Carrington's married. Got kids, too. His wife, Barbara Ann, isn't the type to let things slide. If she ever shows up here or calls, you better act like you don't know anything." Johnny May froze, the warning hanging in the air. But after the initial sting of shock, she brushed it off. "They're just jealous," she thought. "Jealous of the attention he gives me. Jealous of what I have." And what she had was enviable. Trips out of town, expensive gifts, and the thrill of riding through Baltimore in his sleek 1971 Mercedes-Benz SL convertible roadster. Dr. Carrington had a way of making her feel special, like she was the only person in the room when he looked at her. He'd reassure her with that perfect smile and his smooth, deliberate charm. "Don't listen to gossip," he'd say, gently stroking her cheek. "People love to talk when they see someone as beautiful as you." Johnny May wanted to believe him. She told herself that what they had was real, that the whispers about his wife and children were just that, whispers. And even if they were true, she reasoned, he had chosen her. He wasn't spending his evenings or weekends with Barbara Ann. He was with her, taking her to the finest restaurants, showing her the city, and planning a future she never thought possible back in South Carolina. Driving through the streets of Baltimore in his Mercedes-Benz, she felt like someone important, someone who had finally escaped the struggles of her past. She'd catch her reflection in the rearview mirror and smile, marveling at how far she'd come. But the warnings didn't stop. Staff members' sidelong glances became more pointed, and the occasional comment about Mrs. Carrington grew harder to ignore. Johnny May, however, was determined not to let anyone ruin what she had. As long as Dr. Carrington was by her side, the rest of the world didn't matter.